Hi everybody, welcome to Christian Homestead. My name is Jared. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. So it looks like the Catholic Church has chosen a new Pope, Pope Leo the 14th, and I thought it'd be a good idea to look at potential symbolism with this new Pope and what it might mean to us as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Up until this point, I've already done a few videos about Pope Francis and his passing, and there's a lot of interesting things to consider with that. So I'll put a link for these 3 videos in the description box below. In case you missed them, you may want to watch those. Let's go first to the BBC article, Who is Robert Prevost, the new Pope, Leo the 14th? Here he is right here. He will be the first American to fill the role of Pope. So that already is kind of interesting. I don't know if it has any implications for us or for the Second Coming or the period of time in which we live, but I think it's important to take note of that. Born in Chicago, 1955, to parents of Ecuadorian and French descent, he has Peruvian nationality. There he is with Pope Francis. Francis made him a cardinal less than 2 years ago, as 80% of the cardinals who took part in the conclave were appointed by Francis. It is not at all that surprising that someone like Prevost was elected, even if he was only recently appointed. Then it goes on to say, Prevost, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Prevost is believed to have shared Francis's views on immigrants, the poor, and the environment. So, I mean, what do I know? I guess based on what we just read, maybe it's going to be more of the same with what Pope Francis was like and what he did during his time as Pope. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But that's just a really rough overview of this new Pope. Now, my friend Mindy with Temples of Jesus, make sure to subscribe to her. She did a little bit of research and asked some questions on ChatGPT, which it came up with some interesting things to think about for us specifically as members of the church. So the first thing, first American Pope, shift toward the Western Hemisphere. Symbolic LDS connection. The restoration of the gospel began in the Americas. Now, for the first time, the head of the global Catholic Church is also from the Western Hemisphere. Which, you might say that Pope Francis was probably the first one because he was from South America. But now, we're talking about North America. So between the two of them, you have both North and South America. So yeah, that is interesting. Prophetic parallel. This could symbolize a shift in spiritual authority or attention toward the covenant land of America, long prophesied in the Book of Mormon as a critical setting for the last days. And of course, we know that the New Jerusalem is going to be in Jackson County, Missouri. So that is pretty interesting. And Mindy also noted that today, the House passes a bill to rename Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. Although this article later on points out that this bill is unlikely to pass in the Senate, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, that is kind of interesting. Now, there's a couple more things. Okay, his name is Leo the 14th. Leo means lion, often a symbol of Jesus Christ. Revelation 5, verse 5. We're going to read that in just a minute. LDS insight could reflect a symbolic echo of Christ's return in power and majesty. The lion is a millennial symbol of peace and authority. Yeah, so for us, it wouldn't really matter too much. I mean, I'm not saying that this Pope is any like prophetic figure, of course. It's a completely different church. But like I've said before, I think the Lord prepares the minds of all these different nations and religions and people. And maybe some people view it this way. And it could also be a symbol to us because we know that when Christ comes, he is the true lion, he who is going to reign during the millennium. And so you have this very prominent church that has essentially been the largest and most powerful Christian church during the Great Apostasy. And when Christ comes, the Lion of Judah, he's going to take the kingdom back. He's going to be the king of the world. So let's take a look at Revelation 5, verse 5. And one of the elders saith unto me, Weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. If we go to the Institute student manual for this, the question is, who is the Lion of the tribe of Judah and the root of David? Both of these phrases are titles of Jesus Christ. Lion of the tribe of Judah is a fitting title because a lion is majestic and powerful, and because the Savior was born through the lineage of Judah. And hopefully we all know that the lion was actually a symbol for the tribe of Judah because of Jesus Christ. All right, continuing. The title Lion of Judah is a stark contrast to the meek and sacrificial lamb mentioned in Revelation 5:6. These two images convey that Christ possessed both majesty and meekness. And you can go to other scriptures too. For example, Genesis chapter 49, where Jacob is giving his blessing to his sons before he passes away. And for Judah, he says, starting in verse 8, Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise, because of Jesus Christ. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down. He couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? And then I want to go to an apocryphal book. A lot of you are already familiar. Second is Esdras. This is where you get the whole Esdras eagle thing. And I've never really subscribed to that in the same way that a lot of people do. I do entertain the idea that this could be an actual prophecy, but since it's in the Apocrypha, I take it with a grain of salt. But I've always been interested in these verses 33 to 46, okay? As we're thinking about the symbolism of the lion. Okay. After all this, I watched as the middle head, just like the wings, suddenly disappeared. So this, if you don't know, this is referring to a metaphorical eagle, which represents essentially worldly powers in the last days. You remember in the book of Daniel, you had King Nebuchadnezzar's dream where he saw the statue, and each part of the statue represented a different empire. And then Daniel himself had a vision that corresponded to King Nebuchadnezzar's dream where he saw 4 beasts. Well, the eagle is essentially the 4th beast. And it's interesting because in Daniel, the 4th beast is not compared to a specific animal. It is described, like its characteristics are described, but unlike the previous 3, there wasn't a specific animal associated with it. But the eagle mentioned here could be that beast. So anyway, so in by the way, the 4th beast in Daniel corresponds with the Roman Empire and the fall of the Roman Empire and the nations that descended from the Roman Empire. Hence, you have the 10 toes of the statue, or you have the 10 horns of the beast. And in this, if this is supposed to be the 4th beast, then you have the heads and the wings. So you get the idea. So there were 2 heads left, however, which also ruled over the earth and over those who lived on it. I looked and watched as the head on the right side devoured the one on the left. I heard a voice saying to me, Look in front of you and consider what you see. I looked and saw something like a lion. So let's think about this as Jesus Christ. I looked and saw something like a lion being roused, roaring out of the forest. I heard how he spoke in a human voice and said to the eagle, Listen you, and I will speak to you. The Most High says to you, Aren't you the last of the 4 beasts, which I have made to rule in my world, so that I might bring about the end of my times through them? You, the 4th that has come, conquered all the beasts that came before you, ruling over the world with much terror, and over the whole earth with harsh oppression. You have lived in the world with deceit for so long. You judge the earth, but not in truth. You have oppressed the meek and injured those who caused no unrest. You hated those who spoke the truth and loved liars. You destroyed the dwellings of those who bore fruit and tore down the walls of those who had done you no harm. Your insolence has ascended to the Most High, and your pride to the Mighty One. The Most High has reviewed his times. Look, they are finished, and his ages are complete. Therefore, eagle, you must utterly vanish, you and your terrifying wings, your dreadful little wings, and your evil heads, and your dreadful talons, in all your worthless body. Then the whole earth will be refreshed. So now it's like talking about the millennium. Then the whole earth will be refreshed and restored, set free from your violence, and will hope for the judgment and mercy of him who made it. So, yeah, I feel like this fits pretty well. And, I just talked about the Roman Empire, and you could say that one of the descendants of the Roman Empire is the Roman Catholic Church. And it actually has its own tiny little city nation state, the Vatican. So that part of it is actually a country. But what we just read is about Christ, the lion, coming to the remnants of the Roman Empire and saying it's done. And so we're talking about this new pope who's going by Leo, and I just think that's interesting. Christ is going to take it all back. All right, let's go back to this. The next insight, it says numerology, XIV in Roman numerals equals the number 14, which is 2 sevens. 7 is the number of divine completion in scripture. 14 can symbolize a double portion or the culmination of 2 complete cycles. And we've talked about that before. In fact, it's interesting to me that President Nelson became president of the church on January 14th of 2018. And this year, he hit his 7-year anniversary. We've been talking about that a lot lately, and I do think that there is significance to it. So, President Nelson, 7th anniversary on the 14th. Pope Francis passed away on April 21st, and 21 is 3 sevens. And then recently, we've also talked about the fact that Israel turns 77 this year. On our calendar, it's going to be on May 14th, which that's interesting because it's a 14. But on the Hebrew calendar, that was actually 1 week ago on the 1st. It's interesting that their 77th birthday on the Hebrew calendar was exactly 1 week before this new pope was elected. And today is Herzel Day. And according to this, it's an Israeli national holiday that commemorates the life and vision of Zionist leader Theodor Herzl, which my rough understanding of it seems like Theodor Herzl is the Israeli version of George Washington, so to speak. He's like their George Washington. So today is the day that this new pope got elected. So that's all the thoughts that I have on it right now. I guess we'll just have to watch how things progress and see what happens with this pope, and hopefully the second coming is sooner than later. But that's going to be all for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.